What's up, my honey bunnies, and welcome back to a new video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you're doing amazing. So today is going to be my first ever story time get ready with me type of video. So I do a lot of get ready with me videos where I like try new products or just like chit chat with you guys, but I've never sat down and just said like a full-on story. And I've always wanted to do story time videos, but I just never got around to doing them. And I thought now would be the perfect time to start, and I'm gonna kick it off with my fertility from like A to Z, you know, just so far what's happened. And like I said, it is gonna be a get ready with me, so I am gonna be applying products on my skin, but I'm not gonna be talking about the products, because if I do like sit there and stop my story and share what product I'm using, then it's gonna take even longer. And as it is, this video is gonna be super long, so get a snack, get a drink, get comfy. The topic of having babies between me and my wife has always been a topic that we talk about, but it's also been something that we were not on the same page about. Like sometimes she wanted to and I didn't want to, and then vice versa. And then sometimes we just both agreed that it was not a good time. But in 2016, we went in to the fertility clinic. We went to go check it out and, you know, just hear information about it. So we had our first consultation, but again, at that time, it was just not a good time. We decided not to go through with it. We wanted to work on our relationship a little bit more, to improve it a little bit more. And we did work on that for 5 years, and obviously our relationship improved. So then we went back in 2019, you know, to do the whole process again, to go to the consultation. You know, obviously we were 5 years older from the initial consultation, so things changed a little bit. We really decided to go through with it, and that's when the whole journey started. And I think what really pushed us to go through with it is our age. We are older. So we started the process, but then 2020 hit, and as many of you know, everything got shut down. Pandemic started, and it put a big old hold on our plans, like a whole year hold. And at that time, I was like terrified with the world and everything that was happening. So I sat down with my wife and we talked about it. I'm like, look, things don't look good right now. Let's just, you know, wait a couple more years maybe, or, you know, see when things improve. But then again, we were just gonna get older and older, and the chances are gonna get slimmer and slimmer. So wifey's like, no, you know, let's see when they open up and we'll go from there. I forgot when they opened back up, but I think it was in like early 2021. We went back and we decided, you know, to go through with it. So we said yes. We liked our chances, and we talked about, you know, everything with our fertility doctor, and it was just, it felt good. It felt like a good decision. Tests have to be done first, and, you know, just a bunch of stuff needs to get prepped before you actually start your cycle. I'm gonna save the pricing for last, just because honestly we don't even have like a set price, because wifey is a veteran. She did get a military discount. So, well, I guess let's just talk about the price now. So each cycle is going to be around $10,000. And obviously if you have to go through with it again, like you didn't have a successful, you know, cycle, meaning you didn't get pregnant, you would have to pay again to do another cycle. So it's very expensive because of her military status. We paid $7,000 and something. So she got like almost $3,000 off, I think. And because we are a same-sex couple, the VA, which is a military insurance, doesn't cover for our, you know, situation. So it wouldn't cover pretty much anything. And honestly, I can't give you an exact amount because we haven't finished paying everything. There's still some bills coming in. If you're looking into this, make sure you know, look into everything, like how much everything's gonna be. Like if you're looking for a donor, that's gonna be an additional cost. That's not gonna be covered through the IVF cycle. Medication is not covered through the IVF cycle. And other things like genetic testing, you know, stuff like that isn't included either. So you just gotta make sure that your insurance, just know what your insurance covers and what it doesn't cover. Again, everything just adds up. you think that, okay, 7,000 is not that bad for a whole cycle, and those 7,000 become into like 20,000. And yeah, it's a very expensive process. The process is very time consuming. You have to see your fertility doctor so many times. So I would suggest you getting a fertility doctor that is around your area. Some people literally move to be closer to really reputable, really well-known fertility clinics. So they'll like come out of state and they'll stay close to the clinic until their whole cycle's done, because it's way cheaper than to just be flying back and forth or like driving back and forth. But thankfully there is a good fertility clinic locally to us. So we did go with that one. And the one we went with is HRC Fertility. It was an amazing experience. I have no complaints about the clinic, the doctors, the staff, the nurses. Everybody was so amazing, very LGBT friendly, which is very important. If you have to meet a bunch of fertility doctors until you find the one that feels right, I really suggest that, because you're stuck with this fertility doctor for the whole duration of your process. So you really want somebody that you like and that you feel, comfortable with. Once we figured out, how everything's gonna go, we decided to say yes, and we set in a date when we are gonna start. So we started in September, but we wanted to take our baby moon, or just like a trip before we started the whole process, because in my mind and just our minds, we were gonna get pregnant. Like, that's how positive I was to begin with. Did I sometimes feel a little nervous and like doubtful? Yes, but deep down inside, I knew it was gonna happen first. Like, I would pray for it every single day. I would do affirmations, and I would just make it seem like I was already pregnant. So we did our baby moon. We went to Hawaii, we went to Oahu, and that was our baby moon. And that was just pretty much a time for us. It was gonna be our last time alone, on a vacation, because we knew that after we came back, we were gonna start our journey, and then we were gonna get pregnant. So that by the time we took another trip, we were gonna have our baby. So for us, that was a baby moon. And I wanna share a story with you guys. On our last day when we were in Hawaii, we were on the beach because we had already packed everything. We just wanted to like take in the last bit of time there, just take in the beauty and just be in the beach until like a couple hours before that we had to go to the airport. So we did that, and it was amazing. I just felt so relaxed and I felt so at peace. Anyways, at this time, I came out of the water. I went to go to one of the like lounging chairs. So I was sitting there, and then wifey said, come, right? So she was calling me. So then I go over there, and she's like, there's a lot of fish. And I was like, oh, cool. So there was this little tiny fish, and it kind of looked like a zebrafish, but it was so tiny, like the tiniest little fish. I don't know if he was a baby or if that's just how, little they are. But it was black and white, and it started to circle around us. And I was like, oh, that's cute. But it just wouldn't leave our sight. And then it just started to circle me and around and around and around. And it would go in between my legs and like around my feet. And it would kind of like bump me, and then like bump me in my stomach. And it just kept bumping me in my stomach. And I was like, that is crazy. Like, the feeling was insane. Like, it felt powerful. And I was like, what does this mean? Like, why is this fish just swimming around me? I was like, okay. So I thought it was pretty cool. I just didn't know what it meant. So of course we got out of the water, because then, we were kind of running late. Shortly after we came back from our vacation, I decided to look it up. Like, what does fish surrounding you mean? So I looked it up, and it said that it means fertility, which I was like, I knew it. I knew it meant something. It had something to do with the baby. It had something to do with our journey. And like, I wanted to cry, because I'm like, God is listening, like God is gonna grant us this. And I think that was a sign, you know, I take it as a sign from God, letting us know that I got you. Like, you know, you're going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. It's going to happen for you guys, you know, and that's how I took it. And anyway, so then we started our journey. Wifey had to start her journey first because we did use her egg and I'm the one carrying the baby. Wifey is the biological mother and I am going to be the birth mother. So we both have our little part and a way to connect with the baby. Wifey started her process. She had to start hormones. And before that, she had to start birth control. So birth control and then hormones. So those are injections. First of all, medication, the hormone medication, it is ridiculously expensive. So expensive. And then it's all up to like the doctor, like the fertility doctor, and how your tests are going and how everything's moving if you have to buy more. So sometimes you don't just buy one set, you have to keep buying more. So anyways, she did her stuff. So basically the hormones are given to the person who's gonna use the egg to kind of like multiply the eggs. So you have more at the time of your egg retrieval, which is a surgery that they do to remove your eggs, right? So they did that. While Wifey is doing her shots, they're also seeing her about, I think once or twice a week to kind of just check up on her levels, how, you know, the eggs are multiplying and stuff like that, how she's feeling. So she does ultrasounds and they do her blood. And once they feel like, okay, this is enough, like we have enough, then they go and stop the hormones and they proceed with the, you know, egg retrieval, which again, it is a surgery that they do put you to sleep or they do anesthesia. Even though it's not like a very, intense type of surgery, it's still considered a surgery. Basically at this time, her, stomach kind of grew bigger, and hormones do make you gain weight. At least it did for us. It made her gain weight and made me gain weight when I did mine. And also she said it was painful because her stomach felt like so big, because again, your eggs are just like so many now. She did that. So she went through with the egg retrieval. They told her that they had around 12 eggs that were, they looked pretty good. But of course they had to kind of like leave them, is it incubated? I really don't know all the terms, but they have to leave them to see how they develop. And from 12, I went to 8. It's not like a very, serious surgery, but you still have to recover from it. And I mean, obviously every time you go under anesthesia, there's a risk. You can't really do much after the surgery until you kind of recover a little bit more. So I did take care of her for about a week. Egg retrieval was done. I was excited, but also like these nerves started to kick in, and I'm like, it's gonna be my turn. I'm gonna start my cycle, and I am like terrified of these needles now. So I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Like, how am I gonna do it? I needed to get rid of this fear. Like, it needs to go away because I have to do it. And I do have some clips, so that's why this video is gonna be so freaking long probably, because I do wanna include some clips that I did record. Just kind of like to share with you guys, and just to share with my daughter when she's here, when she's older, so she could see how the process went. I had to start mine. So basically what they do is they wait until your last day of your period, or when you start your period, you call your fertility doctor or your, the people on your team, and then you have to wait 3 days into your period when you have to start birth control. So I had to take birth control as well. Once I was done with birth control, I started my hormones, and I was so freaking scared. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And I'm like, babe, you're gonna have to do it for me. Like, cause you have to do it on your butt. For me, it was on my butt, and for her, it was like on her thigh or her stomach. So I was like, you're gonna have to do it for me, babe, because I'm not gonna be able to do it. Like, first of all, like I can't even there's no way of me like turning and doing it. And then I just couldn't. Like my needles were way longer, and I felt like terrified.
I'm not ready.
Wait.
I'm waiting. Just breathe.
No, I can't do it. Don't.
Huh?
Okay.
You ready then?
No, but I guess.
Breathe. Inhale, long breath. Exhale. Are we good?
Yeah.
Breathe. Control.
There were some times that it did hurt, not like the actual like prick of the needle, but the medication is what hurts. As far as like the side effects for me and my hormone journey, I didn't like it. I mean, I knew it's something that I had to do. Well, first of all, I gained a lot of weight. I feel like I gained 15 pounds with the hormones. Like I felt nauseous, I felt tired and sleepy all the time. And by the way, while I'm doing the hormones, there are also other things happening in the back burner. Like at this time, we already had our sperm donor picked and it already shipped to the clinic. So we went with California, is it California Cryobank, I think it's called, and we had a really great experience. It is pretty expensive, but it gives you so many options. So anyways, at this time, they have already put wifey's eggs with the sperm, and it goes through this process, like a 7-day process, or some like 5 days. But for us, it was 7 days. I remember it was 7 days, where they kind of just keep an eye on it, see how it develops, what's happening. My hormone journey took forever, and it was way longer than my wife's, because even though after we do the transfer, I still have to do the hormones until a certain time. I'm still going through my hormones, so you can imagine how my mental health is. Like I didn't feel good physically, I didn't feel good mentally, and then we kept getting like these, you know, bad news with my wife's eggs and like the embryos and everything. So we again were left with 8 eggs. By this time, 3 didn't make it. Okay, so I am almost forgetting about one of the most important parts of this journey and like the fertility IVF journey is which is genetic testing. Genetic testing is, you know, pretty much where they test your genetics. Not only me and my wife's, but also obviously the sperm donor, and then also the embryos when they're put together or they're fertilized, like the egg and the sperm, you know what I mean? So that is also an added cost, and genetic testing is pretty expensive. So my genetic testing, I guess, we did have to pay out of pocket, I think, and then my wife's was covered by the VA. And then the last thing that we did was the genetic testing on the embryos, just to make sure that, you know, everything's okay, it's gonna be a healthy baby, and there's not gonna be any complications. We kept getting emails pretty much every day saying, okay, we have bad news. This embryo didn't make it. We can't use this one because after the genetic testing, it just wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't be usable, or it's not gonna make it. So by this time we only had, I think, 5 left. And I'm like, okay, that's still enough. And I remember the day that they emailed us, we had just stopped to get gas, and wifey got out to get the gas, and I was on my phone, and then I got the email. Anyways, I opened the email and it said, hi, you know, blah, blah, blah. We have good news and bad news. And at this time we only had 3 embryos. I don't know if I let you know that. The bad news was that 2 did not make it. So they wouldn't, you know, become anything. They wouldn't become a pregnancy. They wouldn't become a baby because of just certain things, you know, and they kind of break down everything. And the good news is that we had 1 good, like really pristine embryo that, I don't like to say this word, but they called it a normal, you know, embryo. And I don't know if I mentioned this either, but I'm like all over the place, I'm sorry. When you do the genetic testing, it is recommended, well, it was recommended to us by a fertility doctor because it kind of just gives you a really good idea, and you know, so you know exactly what you're getting in a way, because if you don't do it, you don't really know what potential like illnesses or like conditions or anything that the baby might have. So they did recommend us to do the genetic testing, which was $5,000. And with that, you get to choose what you want to have first. Like, you know, if you want to have baby boy or baby girl. So that is one of the perks about the genetic testing, besides obviously knowing ahead of time the health of your baby. We did go ahead with the genetic testing, and wifey was telling me, like, you need to decide, like, what do you want to have right now? Like, do you want to have a baby boy or baby girl? I felt bad to decide, and I'm like, who am I to decide like what I'm gonna have first, you know? So I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna choose. Like, I just feel bad to choose. I'm just gonna, you know, let it be. Whatever God decides what we're gonna have, that's what we're gonna have. So that's my decision. So that is what we did. We told them that we were not gonna choose. So going back to when we were at the gas station, again, one of the good news was that we had one good one, and that we could either go through with that and take our chances with one embryo, or we can go back and do another round of, you know, hormones for wifey, and that way they can do another egg retrieval and just get more eggs out so that we can have more, you know, chances. And of course that was going to be an added expense. So that was pretty much what the email said. And then at the end it says we do have a healthy, normal baby girl. I was not disappointed whatsoever, but I was in a little bit of a shock. So I did have to reread the whole email and reread the part where it says we only had one embryo. I got out of the car and I tell my wife like what the email said, and I told her, hey, they emailed me, they had good news and bad news, and pretty much we only have one girl. And then she's like, okay, and? I'm like, that's it, that's all we have. It's just one embryo. You can tell that she was in shock as well. Not like disappointed either, because she didn't care. As long as the baby is healthy, she didn't care. But I think what kind of got her in shock was the fact that we only had one left. And so we get back in the car and we kind of start talking about it, and I'm like, we're gonna have a baby girl. And I just could not stop smiling. It's meant to be. Like, of course it's meant to be. And then I thought about all these other things, like from like years ago. I've programmed this way before. Like when we got married and like our big wedding, my wedding dress, I said, my wife's like, should we sell it or should we donate it? Like, are we gonna keep it? What are we gonna do with it? I said, let's keep it, because when we have a daughter, I want her to have this dress and she can decide if she wants to wear it or not. Like there was other instances where I would say, like, when we have a daughter. And even though in my head, like, I wanted to have a boy first, like the things that would kind of come out of my mouth was that we were gonna have a girl. Like, oh, when we have a daughter, I'm gonna dress her like this. Or when we have a daughter, like, you know what I mean? So I had already programmed it years ago. So I was like, of course I'm gonna have a girl, you know, like it's meant to be. So now I'm like super excited to have a girl, and I could not have had it any other way. Like, now to think about it, it's like, she's so special to me and I love her so much. Like, it hurts to think about how much I love her already. I was excited but also nervous, because I'm like, okay, I'm excited to have a girl, but if it doesn't happen for us, like, damn, we're gonna have to go through it again, and then we're gonna have to pay for more things, and it's just gonna become so expensive, and it's like taxing on your wallet, it's taxing on your mental health, it's taxing on your relationship, it's taxing on your like physical health. It's just a lot. It's a really hard process. So you really have to be really prepared for that, and just be very gentle with each other, because especially when you go into the hormones, like your hormones are just like all over the place, and it's hard. You know, sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days, and you just gotta remember to be gentle and nice to your partner when they're going through this. We did our errands, and then we came home and we really sat down to talk about what we were gonna do, because we either could go through with the transfer with just one embryo and just kind of take our chances, or we could not do the transfer and just store that embryo and then do another cycle of hormones for my wife and another egg retrieval so we can have more chances. So I told her, let's just take a chance with this one embryo. If it doesn't happen, it just wasn't meant to be, and we're just gonna have to go through it again. Transfer day came. I was so nervous. I did not have to get put under anesthesia. It's just they gave me a Valium, because my mock transfer, by the way, I forgot to say that too, that we do a mock transfer ahead of time, just so that the doctor can see how everything's gonna go. So basically put water in you and just, you know, see how everything's gonna go on the day of, kind of like a practice one. And then the actual transfer, the mock transfer was a little painful, and I told him it was painful. So he said, okay, for your actual transfer, we can give you a Valium. So you kind of relax a little bit, your muscles are relaxed, and it's not gonna be painful. So I was like, okay. So they prescribed that, which you do have to pay for yourself as well. And the day of came, and I was nervous, I was excited, but deep down inside, I kept telling myself, I am gonna be pregnant. I am gonna have a baby. And I just kept telling myself all these affirmations and like being so positive. So the way the transfer goes is they put you in a room, kind of like a surgical room. And it pretty much looks like when you're gonna do a pap smear, kind of like the same situation, but you have a big screen on the ceiling in a way. And then you do have like the ultrasound thing, and you know, obviously all the equipment that they're gonna use. They have you come with a full bladder, but for some reason, even though they told me to drink 2 glasses of water, I came and it wasn't full. So they made me drink more and more and more, and they kept like doing ultrasounds. They're like, okay, no, it's still not full enough. We need to give you more water. So I just kept drinking water and water. And by this time I felt like my bladder was about to explode. Like I had to go pee so bad, but you can't, you have to hold it. The doctor comes in, you know, he starts prepping everything. And then once, you know, everything looks good and he's ready to transfer the embryo, another doctor comes in, or a lady doctor comes in, and she's the one that handles the embryo. She hands him, which looks like a big old thing, and then he inserts it where it needs to go. And then you can see it on the screen, you know, what's happening. And it's like this little glowy little dot just goes in the uterus, and it's placed there. And he's like, okay, there's the embryo.
So that's your bladder. Looks big. This is your uterus. The top of it there comes this way. My catheter, you can see, came from here to about here. Mm-hmm. That's what came out. So that's liquid. So they're going to go look under the microscope and make sure that the baby actually came out with that liquid.
And now we just got to wait 2 weeks to make sure that you're pregnant or not. So that waiting period, it is the most stressful. Like, it's just horrible to wait. This time, the transfer is done, but I still cannot get up. You still have to lay down for 10 minutes. And for those 10 minutes, I swear it was like the worst 10 minutes, because I have to pee. I feel like my stomach is hurting. I have to pee, and I have to keep like crossing my legs. And I'm just like squeezing to dear life, because I'm like, if I don't get up right now, I'm gonna pee. So I had to hold it for 10 minutes. So much water. I'm like, I'm gonna pee on myself. As soon as I get up, I'm gonna pee on myself. So I literally run to the bathroom. We go home, and then like the actual feelings of the transfer start to kick in. Like I start to feel tired and cramps and painful down there. And I think I fell asleep for like the most of the day. And I think I wrote down exactly how I felt every single day on my notes. Why? I don't know, but I did. So my transfer was on November 29th. It was on a Monday. I did feel mild cramps, felt super tired, sleepy, and slept most of the day after the transfer. And then I started to get a lot of breakouts on my chin, like so many, like from one day to the other. And then I had tender breast. On the 3rd day, I felt the same as the 2nd day. On the 4th day, I had less cramping. I had really vivid dreams and I didn't sleep during the day at all. So I didn't take a nap. So on the 5th day, I was super emotional. I cried literally all day, I think. I just felt so sad and like, it was like a strong emotion where I just wanted to cry for no reason. It's a bit of cramps. I felt defeated and I had a breakdown at Sephora. That's what I wrote. And I do remember I had to go return something, but because I was crying all day that day, I was like trying to stop crying. So in the car, I kind of like cleaned my tears and I'm like taking a deep breath and I went into Sephora. I was returning my stuff and then buying other things. And the lady's like, she had said, oh, how was your day? And I started crying, like, like crying, type of crying, like, you know, I couldn't even contain myself. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And then on the next Monday, I had another emotional breakdown. Progesterone shot hurt way too much that day. Like when my wife gave me the shot, I was like crying because it hurt so bad. I was irritable and I still had some cramps. I still felt emotional. And that is the day that I could not wait anymore, because you have to wait 10 days, 2 weeks to do your official test to see if you're pregnant. I couldn't wait. I was like, I can't wait. This waiting period is killing me. I need to know. So we went and bought a at-home test and we came home and tested. And even though it was faint, it was there, like the 2 lines. One line was really dark and then the second line was there, but very faint. But we took it as pregnant and I got super excited and I did share, you know, our reaction on my personal Instagram.
You already looked. You're the cheater.
I swear I haven't. I'm gonna turn it around.
Oh, you had it down? You already looked.
No, I swear.
Okay, pues look.
Like I'm shaking.
Oh my goodness, Linda, just go.
You look at it.
Just turn it on 3.
Okay, 1,
3.
2,
Just turn it.
3. What does it say?
We're pregnant.
We're pregnant?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Yes, baby, you're gonna have a sister.
Oh my god.
You're gonna have a teacher. Her name's Leilani. You wanna be in it? Look, Trez wants to be in it too.
Oh, look, it's right
Babe,
there.
look. She wants to be in it too.
Look at my hand, it's shaking.
Look. Your daughter is saying congratulations.
Hi, Mama. I'm so excited.
Look at her. She got excited too. You're gonna be a good nanny dog.
Hello, Chuppies want some love too.
You too, Mama.
Oh my god.
You see that? You're gonna have a sister. Her name's Leilani. We already named her. Yeah, Mama.
Yeah.
You have no faith. No faith whatsoever. Come, Mama.
I did have faith. I just, you get those thoughts of like, what if she's not in there, or what if it
I
didn't
already
stick?
know she was. Yeah? You wanna still keep recording?
That's funny. On the 10th day, it was our first beta test, which is pretty much the official test they do. It's a urine and blood test that they do to make sure if you're pregnant or not. And I tested positive. And the way they do it is you go in, they do your blood, they do your urine, and then like a few hours later, kind of like towards the end of the day, they call you and tell you what your levels were and if you're pregnant or not. So I did record that as well, but because I was on my phone, I recorded it with my wife's phone, so I haven't gotten that footage. So the next week we take another test just to make sure everything's fine. And I think after that we take another test. So in total, I think we took 3 tests, and they still keep monitoring you until you graduate from your fertility clinic and you go on to your OBGYN, which is pretty much after the first trimester. I think after like the first 12 weeks, they make sure that the baby's fine. I think at 4 weeks we went to do our ultrasound, and that is when you can hear the heartbeat. And when we heard the heartbeat, it is like the most amazing feeling, because then you know like there's a baby in there. The first month was fine. I mean, I felt like all these like side effects from the hormones, but they weren't as bad. Like I was like, oh, I can do this. This is actually pretty good. But then after that month, everything started to increase, like, you know, your levels and everything. So I got super sick. Like, I was nauseous every single day. I didn't get morning sickness. I got all day sickness. And it was like that type of sickness when you feel nauseous and you feel like your saliva accumulating, but you can't throw up. That is how I felt. And then a couple weeks later, after that, you know, every day being nauseous, I start to throw up. So I'm literally throwing up every single day for like sometimes once a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Like, I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't even eat fruit because I would just throw it up. I was just not having it. During my first trimester, I was so tired. I was sleepy. I was nauseous. I was in pain. And once my first trimester passed, going into my second trimester, I started to feel much better. So I was feeling great. Like, I was like, yeah, I can do this. You know, this is how it's gonna be towards the end. Like, I'm fine. But now that I'm in my third trimester, I'm actually in my third trimester this week. But I already started to feel nauseous again for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, so that came back. Baby girl's kicking so much that some days I can't really sleep at night, and it's just becoming uncomfortable. Like, I'm out of breath more often. When I go up and down the stairs, I had to like stop and kind of just hold the wall, take a deep breath, because I'm just like breathing so hard. No matter what, I feel like it's worth it to know that she's in there healthy and growing, and just like, I think in like 13 weeks or maybe even less, I'm gonna meet her. And that just makes me so excited and so happy, and it just makes it all worthwhile. And I think life in general is a miracle. There's little miracles that happen every single day. When you wake up and you're alive and you have a roof over your head and you have food and you have love and you have everything you need, I see it as a miracle, right? So when this happens, like our journey, the way it turned out, I see it as a miracle too, because we only had 1 embryo and we had 1 cycle of IVF. All right, my honey bunnies, so that is it for this video. That is my story, that is my journey, from what I can remember. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.